My wife left me for being too nice and needed a man with an edge. She begged to come back just a month after our divorce. I agreed to meet. Then I showed up with my new girlfriend, her sister. My ex-wife was left frantically screaming as her plan backfired. I, 34 male, by all accounts a predictable man. I thrive on structure. I'm a project manager, for God's sake. My job is to anticipate problems, create Gantt charts, and ensure a smooth yet orderly progression from A to B. I applied that same logic to my life, to our marriage. I thought that was a good thing. A stable thing. My ex-wife, Lisa, 32, did not. Our ending wasn't a fiery explosion. It was a quiet, clinical dissection of my character. We were sitting in the living room we'd spent 3 years meticulously decorating, a room in the apartment I was still paying the rent on, when she delivered the verdict. "It's not you, it's me," she began, which is always a lie. "I just need more." More than what? A husband who remembered her favorite coffee order, who put gas in her car without being asked, who held her while she cried over a sappy commercial? "I need passion, Matthew," she said, her voice frustratingly calm. "I need an edge. You're the nicest man I know, but nice is boring. It's safe. I don't want to be safe anymore." She told me she'd met someone. His name was Daniel. He had a motorcycle, a sleeve of tattoos that crept up his neck, and an undefined job in event promotion that seemed to involve a lot of late nights and cash payments. He was, in her words, a force of nature. I was, by implication, a stagnant pond. The divorce was brutally quick. She didn't want any drama over the apartment. Daniel had a sick downtown loft. It was a one-bedroom apartment over a vape shop. She didn't want much of the furniture, just a few key pieces, and oddly, my expensive German-engineered coffee maker. She wanted out. I made sure her name was formally removed from our lease agreement. A clean break effective at the end of the month. I documented every item she took. I processed the pain the way I process a project delay. Acknowledge the setback, assess the damage, and create a new timeline. The only person who seemed genuinely furious on my behalf was her younger sister, Margaret, 29. Margaret was the quiet one in their family, an artist who always seemed to be observing from the sidelines, while Lisa commanded the spotlight. "She's an idiot," Margaret told me over coffee a week after Lisa had moved out. "She mistakes stability for a cage. She always has." We talked for hours. It was easy. We were both quiet observers. The house was silent for a month. I changed the sheets. I bought a new, less expensive coffee maker. I started to map out a future that was solely mine. It was lonely, but it was orderly. Then last Tuesday, my phone buzzed. A text from Lisa. "Lisa, hey, I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything. I made a mistake, a huge one. Can we please meet? I need to see you." My heart did a stupid little lurch. A flicker of the old Matthew. A second text came through before I could reply. "Lisa, Daniel and I, it's not what I thought. It's all just so chaotic. I miss you. I miss my life." There it was. Not I miss you, but I miss my life. The life I had built, the one she'd willingly abandoned for a cheap thrill. The planner in me kicked in, overriding the fool. The pain I'd been methodically packing away didn't disappear. It sharpened. It became a resource. I saw her plan laid out like a blueprint. She'd show up looking vulnerable. She'd cry. She'd talk about how Daniel was exciting but ultimately unstable. She would praise my kindness, the very thing she'd thrown back in my face, framing it now as the strength she didn't appreciate. She'd use my niceness as her re-entry point, assuming the door I had built would always be open to her. She thought I was a stagnant pond. She had no idea what lurks in the deep, cold quiet. Me, I can meet. Friday night? That new Italian place, Bellina's at 8? Lisa, yes, perfect. Thank you, Matthew. You won't regret this. Oh, I knew, but she would, because I immediately sent another text. Margaret, you Friday night? I could really use a friendly face. Bellina's at 8. My treat. For you? Always. What's up? I'll tell you when I see you. Just trust me on this. She thought I was predictable. She was about to learn that the most dangerous opponent isn't the one who screams and shouts. It's the one who quietly takes notes. Update 1. I got to Bellina's 10 minutes early. I chose a corner booth, one with a clear view of the entrance but tucked away enough to afford a bit of privacy. I felt a weird sort of calm, like a project manager on launch day. All the planning was done. Now it was time for execution. Margaret arrived right on time. She looked incredible. She wore a simple black dress and her hair was down. More importantly, she looked happy, relaxed. The anxiety that always seemed to hum around her when Lisa was in the room was gone. "You look nervous," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Just running through the variables," I admitted, explaining Lisa's text and my suspicions. I wanted a witness, and honestly, I didn't want to face her alone. She smiled, a genuine, warm thing that was so different from Lisa's performative grins. "I'm happy to be your backup, but just be you. That's the whole point." We ordered a bottle of wine. We talked. For 20 minutes, I almost forgot why we were really there. With Margaret, it was easy. It felt logical, correct. We'd spent the last month bonding, and it had quickly morphed into something more. At 8:15, the restaurant door opened. In walked Lisa. She had her "I'm sorry" costume on, a soft, oversized sweater, minimal makeup. She scanned the room, her eyes landing on our booth. First confusion, then a flicker of irritation. Her script didn't account for a second person. She walked over, her steps hesitant. "Matthew, what's going on?" She was looking at me, but the question was for Margaret. A silent, "What are you doing here?" "Lisa," I said, my voice even. "You wanted to meet. I'm here." Margaret was kind enough to join me. The word join hung in the air. It implied a unity she was not a part of. Her eyes darted between us, trying to process the scene. "You brought my sister?" she asked, incredulous. "As a chaperone?" "Something like that," I said. This was the moment Lisa's plan began to falter. She tried to recover, to regain control of the narrative. "Look, Matthew, can we talk privately? This is important." "No," I said simply. "Margaret and I have been spending a lot of time together since you left. She's been a huge support. I'm not asking her to leave." "You did this to spite me," she accused, pointing a trembling finger at me. "This is a sick game." "No, this is me moving on," I said, my voice cold and precise. "You left. I started seeing Margaret. She makes me happy. If you want to call her my girlfriend, feel free. The term feels right to me." The calculated delivery of the word girlfriend, not as a preordained fact but as a weaponized confirmation of her worst fears, hit her like a physical blow. Her face went through a rapid series of micro-expressions: shock, disbelief, fury, and then, the most telling one, indignation. "Girlfriend?" she sputtered, her voice rising. "Her? You're dating my sister?" "You left me, Lisa," I said again. "I moved on." "Not with her," she hissed, finally turning her glare on Margaret. You snake. You were supposed to be on my side." Margaret didn't flinch. She just took a slow sip of her wine. "I am on my side," she said quietly. "For the first time in my life, and Matthew's. It turns out we have a lot in common." Lisa's composure shattered. "My life," she shrieked, and now heads were turning. "You have my sister. You have my apartment. You have my life." "It was never your life to abandon and pick back up at your convenience," I said. "It was our life, and you ended it. Remember? You needed an edge." Her face was pale, her eyes wide with a frantic, cornered rage. She opened her mouth, then closed it. There was nothing to say. Her script was useless. She let out a choked sob of pure frustration, turned and fled the restaurant. Margaret reached across the table and put her hand on mine. "Well," she said, "I don't think she'll be texting you again tonight." My phone buzzed. I declined the call, silenced it, and put it face down. The project had been executed. Now it was time for the next phase. Update 2. The dinner was just the first domino. When a narcissist's plan fails, they don't retreat. They escalate. The morning after, I woke up to 2 things. A dozen missed calls from Lisa and her mother, and an email from Daniel. The subject: stuff from the house. He claimed I was illegally withholding their property. He listed a floor lamp, 2 bath towels, and his customized Adidas sneakers. He also demanded the return of the full $2,850 security deposit, stating that since Lisa was on the lease, she was entitled to half. They were trying to bleed me dry. This is where my boring nature becomes a superpower. First, the small things. I noticed our shared Spotify and Netflix accounts were still active on new devices. I logged in, clicked sign out of all devices, and changed the passwords. A small, petty act of order. It felt wonderful. Next, I turned to Daniel's email. I didn't respond to him. I responded to Lisa, CCing him. Subject: your possessions. Hi Lisa, per Daniel's email, I've gathered the remaining items you left behind. The lamp and towels are in a box on the porch. Please retrieve them by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Regarding the Adidas sneakers, size 11, white with mud stains, I've included a photo. They were left on the new wool rug in the guest room, resulting in a stain. The professional cleaning service cost $150. I've attached the invoice. As for the $2,850 security deposit, our lease agreement clearly states the deposit is returned after the final walkthrough, pending any damages. I have already covered several repairs you were responsible for. These include patching and repainting the wall where you hung the dartboard. Daniel brought over $20. Repairing the garbage disposal, which was jammed with what the plumber identified as coffee grounds, $185. A reminder that the coffee maker you took requires specific disposal of its pods. The aforementioned rug cleaning, $150. The total for damages I have documented is $555. This will be deducted from the security deposit, as per our signed agreement. The remaining balance will be handled by the landlord according to procedure upon my moving out next month. All future communication on this matter should be in writing. Regards, Matthew. I attached scanned copies of every receipt. This wasn't revenge, it was accounting. The response was a firestorm. Her mother called me, pleading for me to just be the bigger person. I am being the bigger person, I told her calmly. The smaller person would have thrown his muddy shoes in the trash. Daniel, furious that I had CC'd him, decided to escalate. He sent me another email, this time threatening legal action. He sent it from his work email address, the one with the signature, Daniel Croft, Regional Marketing Lead, Zenith Beverage Corp. Margaret saw it and her eyes went wide. Matthew, my old roommate's husband, works in HR at Zenith. A new variable had just entered the equation. Update 3. Daniel's email was a gift. We weren't going to make an accusation. We were going to let Daniel's own actions speak for themselves. Margaret forwarded Daniel's threatening email to her friend, the one whose husband worked at Zenith HR. Her message was simple and brilliantly neutral. Hey Sarah, this is so random and awkward, but your husband works at Zenith, right? My sister's new boyfriend, Daniel Croft, just sent this to my boyfriend from his work account. Is this normal company policy? It feels really aggressive. I'm probably overthinking it, lol. The lol was a touch of genius. It passed the problem to a system designed to handle precisely these kinds of things. We heard nothing for 3 days. Then, on a Thursday afternoon, I got a frantic, rambling email from Lisa. This was pure panic. Matthew, what did you do? Daniel just got put on paid administrative leave. He was called into a meeting with HR and legal. They had printouts of his emails to you. They said he violated the company's code of conduct, and now they're investigating his expense reports. He used his company card for our dates. I told him not to. This is your fault. You have to call them and tell them it was a misunderstanding. You have to fix this. The system wasn't just working, it was a well-oiled machine. His own arrogance had exposed him. I took a deep breath and composed my final reply. Subject re, Daniel Lisa. I didn't do anything to Daniel. His own choices led to his current situation. I will not be contacting his former employer. This is the last email I will be sending you. Please do not contact me again. I blocked her number and email. That evening, the doorbell rang. It was Lisa and Daniel. I spoke through the intercom. There's nothing left to talk about. You ruined my life, Daniel shouted. The life you have is the one you built, I replied. Now please leave my property. Lisa's sobbing performance began. I watched them retreat on my security camera, then turned off the feed. Margaret came and stood behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist. The project was complete. Final update. It's been 6 months. The silence has been absolute. Margaret eventually learned the full story. Daniel was officially terminated 2 weeks after being put on leave. The investigation into his expenses had unearthed what Zenith called a pattern of flagrant misuse of company funds. He was fired for cause, making him ineligible for severance. He and Lisa were evicted from the vape shop loft shortly after. I did get the final statement on the security deposit. My landlord's final walkthrough was as thorough as I am. The report he sent was a thing of beauty. In addition to my documented $555 in damages, he found more. The final deductions included a broken window seal in the master bedroom, $450, significant scuffing and deep scratches on the hardwood floors in the second bedroom, which Lisa had used as a makeshift gym without a protective mat, The cost to sand and refinish the area was $837. The total deductions came to $1,042. The math was brutal and precise. The total deposit was $2,850. My half was $425. Lisa's half was $425. The total damages exceeded her share, wiping it out completely. The remaining $470 in damages was deducted from my half. The landlord sent me a check for $1,008. I put it in my savings account. It felt like balancing the books on a long, mismanaged project. As for Lisa's family, the dynamics shifted. Her parents, of course, took her in. That's what parents do. But according to Margaret, the atmosphere is glacial. They are no longer her defenders. They are her weary wardens. The calls for me to be the bigger person stopped. Now their quiet conversations with Margaret are about managing Lisa's difficult phase, a tacit acknowledgement that the problem is, and always was, her. She has a roof over her head, but she's lost their respect and validation, a fate worse than being cast out for someone like her. But this story isn't really about them anymore. Margaret and I are solid. Our relationship wasn't forged in revenge, it was revealed by it. We are both planners, both observers. We enjoy the quiet. Last weekend, Margaret moved the last of her art supplies into the spare bedroom, which is now her studio. The wool rug is in there, the professionally cleaned spot invisible to the naked eye. But I know it's there, a tiny, perfect scar. Sometimes I think about Lisa's accusation that I was cold. Maybe she was right. I didn't rage or weep. I documented. I strategized. My pain didn't become a wildfire. It became fuel. I didn't destroy her life. I just stepped out of the way and let her run headfirst into the wall she built herself. Tonight, Margaret and I are going to Bellina's to celebrate our 6-month anniversary. We'll sit in the same corner booth. It's predictable, it's orderly, it's safe, and I've never felt more alive.